A hard truth waits quietly behind almost every dream, every goal, and every unfinished plan. Most people spend years expecting a breakthrough to arrive from somewhere outside themselves. They wait for motivation to suddenly appear. They wait for confidence to show up. They wait for the right opportunity, the right support, the right connection, the right timing. Yet while they wait, the clock keeps moving. Days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into months. Months turn into years. Then one day, many look back and realize that the future they kept thinking about never arrived. Not because they lacked potential, not because they were incapable, but because they were waiting for a rescue that was never coming. What if nobody ever comes? What if nobody rescues you? What if the support you have been hoping for never arrives? These questions sound uncomfortable because they force us to face a reality that most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid. The reality is that some of the most important battles in life must be fought alone. The biggest decisions must be made alone. The hardest mornings must be faced alone. The strongest version of yourself is not created when everything becomes easy. It is created when you stop expecting someone else to carry the weight for you. History is filled with people who changed their lives only after reaching a moment of complete responsibility. A moment when excuses stopped working. A moment when blame no longer felt satisfying. A moment when they finally understood that no mentor, no friend, no family member, no boss, and no stranger could do the work that belonged to them. What makes this truth so powerful is that it sounds discouraging at first, but it becomes incredibly freeing once you understand it. Because the moment you stop waiting for someone else to change your life, you take back control of it. Most people never hear this message. Society teaches people to search for shortcuts, quick fixes, and easy answers. It teaches people to believe that success belongs to those who are lucky enough to receive help at the perfect moment. But there is a lesser-known reality hiding underneath every great achievement. The people who eventually succeed are often the ones who continue moving forward long after the excitement disappears. They keep working when nobody notices. They keep improving when nobody applauds. They keep showing up when nobody believes in them. And that is exactly where real transformation begins. In this video, you will discover why waiting is one of the most dangerous habits a person can develop. You will learn why motivation is often overrated, why excuses quietly steal years from people's lives, and why responsibility is not a burden but a source of power. You will learn how the human mind tricks itself into delaying action, how successful people break free from that trap, and why some of the strongest individuals in the world were built during seasons when they had no support, no recognition, and no guarantee that their efforts would ever pay off. There is also a powerful mindset shift near the end of this video that changes the way many people see their problems forever. It is a simple idea, yet once it clicks, it becomes impossible to ignore. That single realization has helped countless people stop waiting, stop blaming, and finally start building the life they wanted. So stay with me until the very end, because each part of this message builds on the last. And the final lesson may completely change how you approach your goals, your struggles, and your future. If you are ready to stop making excuses, stop waiting for perfect conditions, and start taking ownership of your life, then you are in the right place. Welcome to the channel. Be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and join our growing community of people who are committed to becoming stronger, more disciplined, and more resilient every single day. Now let's begin. One of the biggest lies people believe is not spoken out loud. It is not written on a wall. It is not taught directly. Yet it quietly controls the decisions of millions of people every day. It sounds harmless at first. Someone will help me. Someone will show me the way. Someone will eventually fix this problem. One day things will become easier. One day I will feel ready. One day I will finally have enough confidence. One day I will start. This belief often hides beneath the surface of our thoughts. Most people do not even realize they carry it. They continue moving through life assuming that eventually a person, an opportunity, a lucky break, or a perfect moment will arrive and make everything easier. Because of this belief, people delay action. They postpone decisions. They tell themselves they are waiting for the right time. Yet the right time rarely announces itself. Life rarely sends an invitation saying, "Now you are ready." The uncomfortable reality is that no one wakes up one morning and hands you discipline. No one places confidence into your hands. No one builds your future while you sit and wait. The qualities that change a person's life are usually developed through action, struggle, mistakes, and persistence. Confidence comes after action, not before it. Strength comes after challenge, not before it. Discipline comes after repeated effort, not before it. Many people spend years expecting these qualities to arrive before they begin. when in reality these qualities appear because they begin. That misunderstanding keeps countless people trapped in the same place year after year. Deep down, they are waiting for a version of themselves that does not exist yet. They are waiting to feel fearless before taking action. They are waiting to feel motivated before starting. They are waiting to feel certain before making a decision. But certainty rarely comes first. Growth happens in uncertainty. Progress happens in discomfort. Success often begins when a person decides to move forward without knowing exactly how everything will turn out. This hidden belief becomes dangerous because it feels reasonable. It feels safe. It feels logical. Waiting appears responsible. Waiting appears smart. Waiting appears careful. Yet waiting often disguises fear. The mind becomes very creative when it wants to avoid discomfort. It creates explanations that's intelligent. It says more preparation is needed, more research is needed, more planning is needed, more thinking is needed. The person feels productive because they are constantly preparing. Yet preparation without action becomes a trap. Weeks pass, then months pass, then another year disappears. The dream remains untouched, the goal remains unfinished, the plan remains a plan. There is a quiet tragedy that happens every day. Not the tragedy of failure, the tragedy of endless postponement. Many people are not defeated by obstacles. They are defeated by delay. They keep waiting for a future version of themselves to take action. Meanwhile, life continues moving forward without permission. Time does not stop. It does not pause. It does not care about intentions. It only responds to actions. A person may have brilliant ideas, incredible potential, and endless dreams, but potential means very little when it remains unused. Potential is valuable only when it becomes action. Every successful person eventually reaches a moment where they stop asking when the perfect opportunity will arrive and start asking what they can do today. That shift changes everything. Because responsibility always returns to the same place. It returns to the person looking back from the mirror. The cost of waiting is far greater than most people realize. Waiting rarely feels expensive in the moment. One day seems harmless, 1 week seems harmless, 1 month seems harmless, but time accumulates quietly. It stacks up in the background. The person who delays a goal today often delays it tomorrow, then next week, then next month. Suddenly years have passed. The dream that once felt exciting begins to feel distant. The energy fades, the passion fades, the belief fades. Eventually, many people convince themselves they no longer care. But the truth is often much deeper. They still care. They simply became exhausted from carrying an unfinished goal for so long. Dreams rarely disappear overnight. They slowly fade beneath layers of delay. Every postponed action teaches the mind that action can wait. Every excuse strengthens the habit of hesitation. Every delay makes the next delay easier. This is how months become years. This is how ambition becomes regret. The saddest part is that many people are only a few consistent actions away from meaningful change, yet they never discover it because they never begin. They remain trapped in preparation mode. They keep gathering information. They keep making plans. They keep organizing. They keep thinking. Yet they never step into the arena where progress actually happens. Action is messy. Action is uncomfortable. Action creates mistakes. But action is also where growth lives. Nothing changes without it. A surprising truth about life is that failure is often less dangerous than standing still. Failure teaches lessons. Failure creates experience. Failure reveals weaknesses that can be improved. Failure builds resilience. Standing still does none of those things. Standing still creates stagnation. Standing still creates frustration. Standing still creates the illusion of safety while quietly stealing opportunities. Many people fear making the wrong choice. As a result, they make no choice at all. Yet no choice is still a choice. Waiting is still a decision. Delay is still a decision. Avoidance is still a decision. Life moves whether a person participates or not. Opportunities come and go. Circumstances change. The world continues moving forward. Those who remain frozen often discover that the future they expected never arrives because they never took the steps necessary to create it. Another realization changes everything once it truly sinks in. Most people are not thinking about you nearly as much as you think. At first, this idea may sound disappointing, but it is actually one of the most freeing truths a person can learn. People spend enormous amounts of energy worrying about judgment. They worry about what others will think if they fail. They worry about criticism. They worry about embarrassment. They worry about looking foolish. Yet the average person is consumed by their own concerns. They are worried about their own future, their own fears, their own challenges, their own insecurities, their own responsibilities. Everyone is carrying something. Everyone is fighting battles that others cannot see. The person you think is carefully analyzing your every move is usually too busy trying to solve problems in their own life. This realization removes a tremendous burden. It allows a person to stop performing for others and start building for themselves. It allows them to stop chasing approval and start chasing progress. Many people spend years waiting for validation before they move forward. They want confirmation, they want encouragement, they want reassurance, they want someone to tell them they are capable. But external validation is unreliable because it depends on factors outside your control. Some people will support you, others will doubt you, some will believe in your vision, others will not understand it. If your actions depend on approval, your progress will always remain limited. The strongest form of confidence comes from keeping promises to yourself. It comes from doing what you said you would do. It comes from taking action even when nobody is watching. The moment a person stops depending on constant encouragement is the moment they become far more powerful, because now their progress no longer depends on other people's opinions. This truth also reveals why nobody is coming to save your future. Not because people are cruel, not because people do not care, but because they are busy trying to save their own future. They are managing their own responsibilities, their own struggles, their own goals, their own problems. Everyone is carrying a load. Expecting someone else to permanently carry yours often leads to disappointment. At first, this realization feels lonely. It can feel harsh, it can feel uncomfortable, but eventually it becomes liberating. Because once you stop expecting rescue, you start creating solutions. Once you stop waiting for guidance, you begin finding direction. Once you stop searching for permission, you start moving forward. The energy that was wasted on expectation becomes available for action. Then comes the moment that changes everything. The day excuses stop working. Excuses are fascinating because they feel protective. They offer temporary comfort. They reduce pressure. They help people avoid difficult emotions. They create explanations that allow a person to stay where they are. The human mind naturally seeks comfort. It wants safety. It wants certainty. It wants to avoid pain. Excuses provide that temporary relief. They tell a person that the circumstances are responsible. They tell a person that now is not the right time. They tell a person that change can happen later. For a brief moment, these explanations feel good. They reduce anxiety. They remove urgency. But they also create a hidden cost. Every excuse delays growth. Every excuse postpones change. Every excuse extends the distance between a person and the life they want. The comfort provided by excuses is temporary. The consequences often last much longer. Over time, something interesting happens. The pain of staying the same begins to grow. The frustration becomes heavier. The disappointment becomes harder to ignore. The gap between reality and potential becomes impossible to overlook. Eventually, many people reach a point where remaining stuck hurts more than taking action. This is the turning point. This is where transformation begins. Not because fear disappears. Fear often remains. Doubt often remains. Uncertainty often remains. The difference is that staying the same finally becomes more painful than moving forward. That pain creates momentum. It pushes a person toward change. It forces them to confront reality. It forces them to stop negotiating with excuses. And then a remarkable shift occurs. Responsibility no longer feels like punishment. It starts to feel like freedom. Most people spend years believing responsibility creates pressure. They assume it creates stress. They assume it creates limitations. But responsibility is actually where power begins. Because the moment you accept responsibility for your life, you stop handing control away. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop blaming other people. You stop blaming the past. You stop waiting for rescue. You stop depending on perfect conditions. And suddenly everything changes. Because what belongs to you can be changed by you. What you own, you can improve. What you accept responsibility for, you can influence. Responsibility shifts the focus away from everything outside your control and places it on the one thing you can control, your actions. And once a person fully understands that truth, the excuses become weaker, the waiting becomes shorter, and the future starts looking very different. There comes a stage in almost every meaningful journey that feels far different from what people expect. It is not exciting. It is not glamorous. It is not filled with recognition or applause. In fact, it is often the exact opposite. It is a quiet season. A lonely season. A season where the effort is real but the results are invisible. A season where you keep showing up without receiving any evidence that your work is paying off. This is the stage where many people quit. Not because they are incapable, not because they lack talent, but because they expected encouragement to arrive sooner. They expected validation to appear earlier. They expected someone to notice. Yet one of the least discussed truths about growth is that most of it happens in silence. Before success becomes visible, There is usually a long period where nothing seems to be happening. The outside world sees little or no change. Meanwhile, deep beneath the surface, habits are forming, skills are improving, discipline is growing, and character is being built. The problem is that these changes are difficult to measure in the beginning. People naturally want immediate proof that their effort matters. They want confirmation that they are moving in the right direction. They want reassurance that their sacrifices will eventually pay off. But life rarely provides those guarantees. The beginning is often quiet. The beginning is often lonely. Nobody claps at the start. Nobody celebrates the decision to wake up earlier. Nobody applauds the first workout. Nobody notices the first page written, the first business idea developed, the first difficult step taken. The world usually pays attention after the results become visible. It rarely notices the countless hours that created those results. This reality can feel discouraging if a person depends on recognition for motivation. Many people start strong when excitement is high. They feel inspired, they feel energized, they feel ready to change their lives. But then the excitement fades, the compliments stop, the attention disappears. The progress seems slow. Suddenly the journey feels much harder than expected. This is where a crucial difference appears between those who continue and those who stop. The strongest people learn how to keep moving without applause. They learn how to work without constant encouragement. They learn how to trust the process, even when there is little evidence that it is working. They understand that growth is often invisible before it becomes obvious. A seed spends a long time growing beneath the soil before anyone sees a single sign of life. Human growth works much the same way. There are seasons when it feels as though nothing is changing, yet every effort matters. Every repetition matters. Every small improvement matters. The person may not notice the difference today, but over time those small actions begin creating a completely different future. Many people underestimate the power of private effort because modern culture often highlights only visible successes. People see achievements, they see awards, they see accomplishments, they see finished products. What they do not see are the thousands of quiet moments that came before. They do not see the mornings when nobody believed. They do not see the nights when doubts felt overwhelming. They do not see the sacrifices, the setbacks, the mistakes, and the repeated failures that occurred long before success arrived. The strongest individuals often spend years improving without recognition. They keep learning when nobody is paying attention. They keep practicing when nobody is watching. They keep building when nobody understands their vision. This ability to continue during lonely seasons is one of the most valuable skills a person can develop, because eventually every meaningful goal will require persistence in the absence of immediate rewards. There is a reason character is built in silence. Silence removes distractions. Silence reveals intentions. Silence exposes whether a person is committed to the outcome or simply attached to the attention that comes with it. When nobody is watching, only the truth remains. Either the person continues or they stop. Either they stay committed or they quit. The absence of recognition forces a person to discover deeper reasons for moving forward. External motivation becomes unreliable. Internal commitment becomes necessary. This is where true strength begins to emerge, not when conditions are perfect, not when support is abundant, but when the journey feels lonely and the person continues anyway. As time passes, another realization begins to take shape. Motivation is not the powerful force many people believe it to be. Motivation feels wonderful when it appears. It creates excitement. It creates energy. It creates optimism. The problem is that motivation is temporary. It comes and goes. Some days it feels strong. Other days it disappears completely. A person who depends entirely on motivation will experience constant inconsistency. They will take action when they feel inspired and stop when they do not. Their progress will rise based on emotion. Unfortunately, emotions change constantly. Life changes constantly. Circumstances change constantly. If action depends on motivation, progress becomes fragile. One of the greatest misconceptions about success is the belief that successful people are always motivated. The truth is often very different. Successful people frequently take action when motivation is absent. They take action because they understand a principle that many others ignore. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates motivation. Most people think motivation must come first. In reality, action often comes first. A person takes one step. That step creates movement. Movement creates progress. Progress creates confidence. Confidence creates further action. What began as a small effort gradually becomes momentum. This is why waiting for motivation can be so dangerous. The longer a person waits, the harder it becomes to begin. The longer they delay action, the more difficult the first step appears. Yet once movement starts, the process often becomes easier than expected. A single workout may seem insignificant. A single page may seem insignificant. A single application may seem insignificant. A single conversation may seem insignificant. A single decision may seem insignificant. Yet, massive changes are often the result of tiny actions repeated consistently over long periods of time. Human beings naturally focus on dramatic transformations because dramatic stories are easier to notice. But real growth usually happens through repetition. It happens through small actions performed day after day. Tiny improvements accumulate, small efforts compound. Gradually, the person becomes stronger, wiser, more disciplined, and more capable. The change may not be visible from one day to the next, but over months and years, the difference becomes extraordinary. Many people fail to appreciate this because they judge progress too early. They expect immediate results. They expect quick transformations. When those results fail to appear, they assume their efforts are not working. Yet growth rarely follows a straight line. Often there is a long period where results seem small or non-existent. Then suddenly progress becomes visible. What appears sudden is usually the result of consistent effort that accumulated quietly over time. Every small action contributes to the outcome. Every repetition strengthens the foundation. Every choice shapes the future. The person who keeps moving eventually separates themselves from those who remain trapped in hesitation. This is why small steps are so powerful. Small steps feel manageable. Small steps reduce resistance. Small steps make progress possible even during difficult days. A person does not need to transform their entire life in one moment. They simply need to move forward. One step, then another, then another. Over time, those steps create distance. The individual who once felt stuck begins to see change. Confidence grows because evidence begins to appear, not because confidence was given to them, not because confidence magically arrived, but because repeated action created proof. The person begins trusting themselves because they have demonstrated reliability through consistent effort. Eventually, all of these lessons lead to a deeper realization. The person stops searching for rescue. For years, they may have believed someone would appear with answers. Someone would provide direction. Someone would create the opportunity. Someone would remove the obstacles. But experience teaches a different lesson. The greatest changes happen when a person decides to become responsible for their own future. They stop waiting for perfect circumstances. They stop waiting for permission. They stop waiting for certainty. Instead, they make a decision. That decision changes everything. Not because the obstacles disappear, not because fear disappears, not because doubt disappears, but because the person chooses movement despite those things. Many people spend years searching for a hero. They search for a mentor who will solve every problem. They search for an opportunity that will instantly transform their situation. They search for a breakthrough that will eliminate struggle. Yet the most important breakthrough is often internal. It happens when a person realizes they do not need saving. They need action. They need responsibility. They need courage. They need commitment. The answer is rarely found in waiting. It is found in moving. The decision to stand up may seem small, yet it changes the direction of an entire life. The decision to take responsibility may feel uncomfortable, yet it creates power. The decision to move despite uncertainty may feel frightening, yet it creates growth. Every meaningful change begins with a choice, not a guarantee, not a promise, not perfect confidence. A choice, the choice to act despite fear, the choice to continue despite difficulty, the choice to keep moving despite obstacles. And somewhere along that journey, a person begins to notice something unexpected. The strength they were searching for was developing inside them all along. The confidence they wanted was being built through action. The resilience they admired in others was growing through their own challenges. They were not becoming someone new. They were uncovering abilities that had been waiting beneath the surface the entire time. Every obstacle forced growth. Every setback created lessons. Every difficult season revealed strength they did not know they possessed. Nobody is coming, not because you do not matter, not because life is unfair, not because your dreams are impossible. Nobody is coming because this life belongs to you. The responsibility belongs to you. The opportunity belongs to you. The future belongs to you. And the moment you stop waiting, stop doubting, stop postponing, and stop searching for rescue, you begin to see yourself differently. You begin to understand that you were never powerless. You begin to understand that your greatest advantage was never another person. It was your ability to act, your ability to adapt, your ability to continue, your ability to rise again after every setback. The person you were waiting for was never somewhere out there. The person capable of changing your life has been with you from the very beginning. Before you leave, Take a moment and be honest with yourself. What is one excuse you are done making today? What is one goal you will stop postponing? Not tomorrow, not next week, not when life becomes easier. Today, write your answer in the comments and make it real. Sometimes a single decision can become the turning point that changes everything. Remember, the biggest transformation does not happen when circumstances change. It happens when you change. The moment you stop waiting for permission, stop waiting for motivation, and stop waiting for someone else to rescue you, you step into a different version of yourself. A stronger version, a more disciplined version, a version that understands that progress belongs to those who take action. Even when the path is uncertain, years from now, there will be two versions of this moment. One where this message became just another video you watched and quickly forgot, and another where this was the day you decided to take control of your life and move forward no matter what stood in your way. The choice is yours, and it always has been. If this video inspired you, challenged you, or gave you a new perspective, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our future content. Every week, we share powerful lessons on discipline, mindset, self-improvement, and personal growth designed to help you become the best version of yourself. And most importantly, share this video with someone who needs this message today. Someone who is stuck, someone who is waiting, someone who needs a reminder that their future is still in their hands. Thank you for watching, thank you for being here, and thank you for investing in yourself. Stay strong, stay focused, keep moving forward, and never forget this simple truth. Nobody is coming to save you. And that is exactly why you are capable of becoming stronger than you ever thought possible. We'll see you in the next video.